Hello, my friends. I wish you all a very good evening. I'm Geraldo Lemos Neto from Brazil at the Portal Saber Espiritismo. I'm here with Marco Gandra in Belo Horizonte. And tonight we are transmitting live for Kardec Radio for Spiritism Dissemination and DSN, Discover Spiritism Network. We are continuing to study life in the spiritual realm. Tonight, we are having the program To Know Spiritism, number 114. Let's see what the spirit of Augusto César Neto wrote through Chico Xavier in the book Jovens no Além, Youth Beyond. It was published by the GM, the Spiritist group Emmanuel from São Bernardo do Campo in São Paulo. It was the first book of the spirit of Augusto César Neto. He was an 18 years old young man that was drowned in the beach of Santos, São Paulo. And after a while, he began to write to his mother, our dear friend Yolanda César, in the city of Uberaba, through the hands of Chico Xavier. In one of his first messages, he wrote, "The thing is that there are no dead guys, the folks and the groups, the clique and the classes are here. Nobody rises by giving twists rocket. We are, as we were, looking for ways to renew ourselves." So he is talking about, in his way, slang way of talking, as a young guy of 18 years old, he is telling us that life after death it's not a miracle life. We are going to be ourselves, the same ourselves that we are here in the crust of earth. So there are no miracles, no ascension as immediate ascension as he is telling us, no twists rocket, and nobody rises that way. And also that the groups of people and folks are reunited by sympathy, by affinity. And that's why we have so many different plans of living after death. Now we are going to see what the spirit of André Luiz tells us about in his book, Our Home, Nosso Lar. Let's talk about ecology and architecture. He stated there, through the hands of Chico Xavier, that what impressed him the most was especially the aspects of nature. Almost everything was an improved copy of the things that we have on earth. He saw large trees, he saw rich orchards and delightful gardens. So he is telling us that the nature there is so exuberant as we have nature here. And of course that architects and the ones that plan gardens also, and flowers and trees, also they have their work there, because he told us that graceful buildings lined up at regular intervals, displaying various forms. So he's explaining that Nosso Lar is a spiritual colony, a spiritual city very beautiful and very, in a way, a very ordered city that has beautiful buildings in a way that tells us about a higher architecture plan. Let's see what the mother of Chico Xavier told about those gardens in the book Cartas de uma Morta, letter from a dead woman. That was one of the first books by Chico Xavier's psychography. And she also told us about nature there. She wrote, "Few flowers are more or less similar to those of your gardens, and most of them seem extravagant at first contemplation. They are characterized, however, by its elusive and unusual delicacy." And also, the spirit of Neo Lucio tells us, through the hands of Chico Xavier, that in the plan where he lives, the flowers and also the trees absorb the light from the sun during the daytime, and during the night they illuminate themselves, making a beautiful scenery in the night on the planet where he lives. Now let's get back to Nosso Lar, our home, through the spirit of André Luiz, about the water. Is there water, rivers, seas, oceans there in the spiritual plane? Yes, there is. There is a chapter of this book that he talked about the Blue River and the ministry of divine union, the highest ministry in the city of our home that takes care of the water there. And also, he talked about food and medicine. Let's see what he wrote. The waters that serve all activities in the colony of our home, they come from here, the great reservoir of the colony. Then they meet again below the regeneration services. So he states that there is this river that is called the Blue River, and the river comes to the city of our home and are contained, the river is contained by a great reservoir. And then from this great reservoir, there are structures that give way to the waters, to all the homes, all the buildings, all the city of Nosso Lar. And then after they are utilized by the people that live there in this spiritual plan, they get together after the regeneration ministry and are in a way directed to earth itself. One time I spoke with Chico Xavier about this Blue River, and he explained to me that the Nosso Lar, our home, is the spiritual city equivalent to the city of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It is as high as 50 kilometers above the city of Rio de Janeiro. And the Blue River goes all the way through the umbral plan, and then it has its terminal phase in the city of Atafona in the northern part of the state of Rio de Janeiro at the Atlantic Ocean, where the spiritual waters from the Blue River get together with the Atlantic Ocean. And this is very interesting. Let's see also about food. André Luiz was invited to have dinner in this home, and then he observed that the host explained to him the only greater supply of food substances that resemble the earth, like proteins and carbohydrates, are in the ministries of regeneration and assistance, where there is always a large number of needy spirits. And also, she told André Luiz that they have there in the city of our home, Nosso Lar, crops. They plant to have crops and to harvest crops. They have also fruits of general proceedings, and they have also industrial plants to make juice from those fruits. So it is a very organized society. And then she spoke to André Luiz and explained to him, our meals here are much nicer than on earth. There are residents here in Nosso Lar, our home, that dispense it almost completely. And then she explained that only the homes there that are home for spirits of higher hierarchy, they don't utilize food as we know it. They only utilize the respiration and also the light of the sun to get the supplies they need. But of course, it's a small proportion of this population that in 1943, when André Luiz started to write about it through Chico Xavier, had at that time 1 million inhabitants in the city of our home, as we call it in Brazil, Nosso Lar. So it depends, the necessity of food depends of the development, spiritual development of those beings that live there. In the city, in the home where she invited André Luiz to have dinner with her, she explained that they only have soups and juices, almost nothing concrete to eat. And also the mother of Chico Xavier, Mrs. Maria de São João de Deus, in the book Letters from a Dead Woman, also stated about food. She wrote through Chico Xavier, food and treatment all closely resemble what can be seen on the face of the orb. Even some little things that constitute grounds for pleasure for some, such as the use of tobacco or favored beverages. And of course, now, mother of Chico Xavier is talking about the denser umbral plane, the one that is closer to the earth crust. It's very much closer to our own living on here on earth. And because of that, the sensations and the habits of those beings that live in the umbral plane after death are very much alike the ones we have here, with all our grounds for consuming food like we have here on Earth, and also beverages and also tobacco. And of course, this is because she is speaking of spirits that are not spiritually developed. They are in a lower ground of evolvement. And then she talked, the mentor of Chico Xavier's mother talked to her. There still exists nutrition. However, in the higher plans, of course, now she is speaking about the higher plans. However, the spirit usually absorbs the elements that regenerate our vitality in the very oxygen we breathe, in unimaginable conditions of purity and the most delicate chemical composition of the atmosphere. So it's a very different case from the higher plans of living in the spiritual plans of Earth. In that case, where we have spirits of light, our mentors, our guides, spirits that work with Jesus, our Lord, to evolve Earth itself. Of course, they don't need food and nutrition in the way we understand here on Earth, because they don't have this kind of spiritual organization in their bodies, in their spiritual bodies, that need those nutritions. And in the other hand, their vitality and their regeneration of the life each day will come from the atmosphere, will come from the oxygen that they breathe in unimaginable conditions of purity. And of course, this is so neat, so beautiful, that I have the urgent to bring this about to you. Well, thank you so much for being with us, and I hope to see you in the next week with the program To Know Spiritism 115. Have you all a very good night, and see you later. Bye-bye.